Hey YouTube, got a new video project I'm gonna start today. So I've been wanting to get a router table for quite a while now, and they're just stupid ridiculous prices. I mean, anywhere from like 600 and up for a good one. I don't want the little cheap Ryobi or Skill one or whatever you get at Lowe's or Home Depot. I wanted something really nice, and I just can't find one that I can justify paying that kind of money for. So we're gonna build our own. Let me flip the camera here. I'll show you what I'm gonna do. All right, so as you know, this is my table saw setup I have. And I got thinking about it last night. I ought to just put my router right here in this general area. And then I can just use my fence and get it unhooked here. I can just use my fence and bam, we have a router area right there. So what I'm gonna do is go ahead and make an insert plate that I'm gonna put right in this general area. And then we'll get the router attached to it and we'll start from there. So stay tuned and let's get this thing going. I was gonna just cut it with the jigsaw to get started. That way I can, there we go, Sharpie will do it. That way I can put it on the table saw and get a nice clean cut off of it. But this should work right here. Let's get us a straight line marked on it. So I'm thinking, I don't know, something about like that right there. Alright guys, so here's what I marked out. This is going to make it, let me see here, it's kind of hard to try to film and measure for you guys. I think it's going to be 9 by 16. Yeah, 9 by 16 is what we're going for. So now, I just got to cut our piece of plastic here, cut it down to a 9 by 16, and then we can start routing out the pocket, because it's 3/4 inch plywood, so we can route out a 1/2 inch notch for it to sit in. So let me get the table saw set up and get this plastic ripped down. Alright guys, I got that piece cut. I ended up going with a 9 by 12. The 16 just seemed really freaking massive. And this piece it is warped a little bit, but it's plastic. So I think we can, once we get it bolted down in place, I think we'll be perfectly fine. So I'm just going to go ahead and line these lines up back where I want it. And I'm going to mark the sides again, so that way I know exactly where to run my trim, my bit to route this pocket out. So what I'm thinking is now I'll come in about 3/4 of an inch or maybe even an inch all the way around, because I don't need this whole thing to sit flush in there. So I'll pull this off before something bad happens. Anyhow, this is what we're going to cut out now. And I'm going to try to flatten this out with the heat gun and set some weight on it. I think it's just weight from sitting all the time. It's kind of curving up a little bit. So let me get the heat gun out and see what we can do. Alright guys, so I got that piece, plastic piece, I heated up, I got the weight sitting on it. I think it'll flatten out good enough to where once we put bolts in it, we should be fine. So I went ahead and marked this out, so we have our, this is where our plastic's going to fit. This side and here's where I'm cutting, that way we can route out this so it has a lip to sit on. So one thing I do got to do is I got a screw right here. We got to pull that out, which is not a big deal. We put it back in once we're done routing, but I don't want to hit that from the router bit. Now I'm going to go ahead and just drill us a hole in the center of this. That way we can get the jigsaw in there and start cutting. So nothing special to see here. I'm going to fast forward y'all and be right back. Alright. Now one thing I didn't tell you guys that I got to do still is we're going to round over the edges on that plastic, because I don't want to try to use a chisel to square this up. It'd be easier to just have it rounded, so we'll do that later on. But let me get this cut out and I'll be right back. Alright guys, I'm back. Got that cut out. Now we're going to go ahead and get the trim router, and we're going to start routing this out to be a 1/2 inch deep. That way our plate should sit right flush in here. So I'm going to turn the camera off here for a minute. I'm going to get the router set up, and I got to put air in a volleyball. I'll be right back. Alright guys, actually, I lied to you. I forgot. We just did a video last weekend about using the the bracket for the wind track saw, and I can put my router on it. So no better time than now to give this thing a whirl. So I'm gonna shut you off for a minute because I gotta put the base, this base on my trim router, which is gonna take me just a second or two, but I gotta get that done first. Actually, I'll just fast forward you all through this. You can just. Alright, there we go. Now, I can just set this in the track right here. Actually, I'm gonna go track. This one's got the brackets in it to bolt them together. There's no need to just take them out when I have another track right here. So now, we can just set this track down in place. Alright guys, I'm going to fast forward you through this. I'm going to get rocking and rolling here. Alright, that didn't do too bad. I did get off the line a little bit somehow or another, but let me get the Sawzall out, or not Sawzall, the shop vac out, clean this up, and I'll be right back. Alright guys, I'm back. Like I said, I got off my line just a hair bit down here, which I think I could probably clean that up later on. I think it's the end of the world. So now we're going to go ahead and move this down to this side. So we're going to go ahead and cut the next one. I don't know why I did all this right here. I got a whole daggone shop I could have been working in. For some reason, I chose to go. But yeah, get this bit lowered back down. I like to turn my blade so, or the bit so I can see the end of it right there. I don't know if that's necessary, but it's just how I do it. You guys do whatever you want to do. It's something that does help me, because I am getting old, folks. Sometimes I need to have a flashlight, see down in there and see what the heck's going on. And see where everything's going to hit. That looks good right there. I'm going to go wider on the clamps this time too. It looks like I was kind of blowing this track out. Well, that one is about perfect right there. I think that'll work. See if we can get a clamp on it. We sure can. There we go. Alright. I'm going to go ahead and run this line. See what we can do here. Remember, I always start with my bit up a little bit, and then I'll walk it down in there. There's that one. Alright. Alright guys, got this all rounded out. I went a little big accidentally, but that's okay. So as you can see, it's still a little crooked. Not a big deal. Comes Matthew on the scooter to quiet, but alright, so now what I'm gonna do is we're going to go ahead and pre-drill to screw this thing down or bolt it down. I think I am going to put some support underneath here just to help hold it in place. But once we get that done, I think we'll be doing it a lot better. Then we'll be ready to drill the hole in the center, get the base to the router fitted onto it. It should be a pretty simple process, but you never know. So I'm going to fast forward you all through this. I'm going to get my holes drilled. Actually, I'm probably going to lay out some holes. Probably go two, and then 1, 2, 3, maybe something like that. So like 10 bolts down in it. So let me get that set up and I'll be right back. Alright guys, I got my holes pre-drilled where I'm gonna put everything. Right now I'm just trying to countersink these. I some 2x material to put under this all the way around. I can probably just go right between these. Put a piece this way, then one in between it. So I ain't gonna bore y'all with that. I'll get this, let me find some wood that we can use, some 2x4s or something, and I'll be back. Alright guys, we're getting somewhere now. So I got supports put in. I went ahead and put some screws in around it, because we're gonna need something to level this thing out, raise it up a hair bit. It's not a big deal. So I can tell right now, actually, let's put some screws in it and just see what it does as far as. Alright guys, so after a lot of work on this thing, I finally got it where it's level. I can run right across it, no big deal now, so that'll work. I do got a couple spots, like this screw did not catch in nothing for some odd reason, I don't know. And some of them I got to work on. The plastic, kind of like, let's see if you can see one. Plastic kind of domed up a little bit, so I'll have to clean those up a little bit before we get to use this thing. But next thing I'm gonna do is find dead center. We'll get a hole drilled in it, and we're gonna start working on getting our base plate mounted. All right, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and pre-drill this with my base plate sitting right here, and then we can have to take the thing back off and do it on me. So I got it right where I want it. There we go. So that's the start. That's our 3 holes. Now obviously these 3 are going to be countersunk up here on the top for the bolts to hold the router base in place. So I don't think, I just don't have a good countersinking bit. We'll have to probably do that later on. Now the reason I had that base sitting a little weird, well, because this lines up a little weird, but it's going to be underneath there like this. But what's cool, this is your adjustment to raise and lower your router, and it's got an Allen head on it right there. So I do have to get that hole drilled also. Once we get to that point, I'm going to figure out exactly where that's at and drill it. Looks like it's real close to where this hole is at for the screw, so it should be right in this general area probably. But then we can raise and lower it, and it won't be an issue at all. You know, because it's a pain in the butt having to get down here and do it and try to get everything level. So this will definitely be a little bit better. But I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna try to countersink these holes to get my screws to fit, and I'll be back. All right, everybody, I'm calling it quits for tonight because I'm tired of working on this thing and it's time for me to get inside. But we got the router mounted now. Let me see if I can get you guys zoomed in so you can see. I have a couple issues and I'm gonna show it to you here because I'm just trying to wing this thing, all right? This wasn't store-bought or nothing. So the router's mounted. I do got the hole drilled here. This is how you raise and lower your router. You know, to get your bit where you want it. Not a problem at all. So, problem number 1, I think I need a bigger insert plate that goes in here. I went pretty small with my hole because I don't plan on doing big bits in it. But problem number 1 is I cannot get, shit, my bad. I cannot reach this right here. Let me see if you can see that. So this piece here, right? That's the button I gotta press to lock the collar in place. And obviously I can't press it from here, and I can't press it from the other side either, which is kind of defeating the whole purpose of this thing. So I gotta figure that out. And you see where I got it marked. I was planning maybe just cutting that out where you got just enough room to get your finger down in there, and then you could hold it and tighten this. I don't know yet if that's gonna be the plan or not. Not real sure. Good morning, everybody. I'm trying today, or this morning, to finish the driver cable insert we done. So this is where I stopped last night. You saw I had to open here to push the button. This thing's not perfect by any means, but I think it's going to work. So the next thing I wanted to do is I have this large chunk, like particle board. I don't know exactly what you call it. I call it particle board. So it's glued sawdust basically. This is a 1-inch thick piece. So I'm going to rip these down to make a sacrificial fence so I'm not running against the aluminum here. this set up to cut these down. Probably, oh really, I probably just need to cut, well, I'll probably cut two of them out. That way I have enough, I can make one that comes, you know, leave like a 2 or 3 inch gap and then do the other piece. So let me go ahead and get this measured out and get them cut, and we'll see if we can get them installed on here. Alright, there we go. Now we just gotta cut them to length, so I'm gonna move this back over where we want it. I'm gonna set it right on that plywood, I think, so we'll do like that. I do gotta stay inside this bracket here, which is not a big deal. But, I think here, take this one over all the way. Find a pencil. My garage becomes a disaster. Every time I do a project, I guess I just really suck at putting the tools up as I go. So I'm gonna bring it up to right where the circle's at. So we'll make a cut right here. Cut that one off. And we'll do the same for this side. Just set it up against it. Actually went a little short, but this fence doesn't sit all the way on the plywood. There we go. So I can always adjust that once we. There we go. So now, one sits there, one sits there. I got it backwards. Put that one there. That one there. That's kind of what I was thinking. Like I said, it is a little lower. It's not a big deal because the fence does have a gap right here. So I'm fine with that being lower. This is literally just to run boards along. Alright guys, got these all drilled, countersunk. Believe it or not, I had 3 bolts that would work. The 4th one is too long, so I'm gonna have to cut that one down, but that's not a big deal. So now, we'll go ahead and we gotta remove the fence. Like I said, we're gonna be able to slide these in here. Take these. I guess I need to cut another bolt down, so I guess I should use it later. Take this one, give it a little cut. See if we can shorten it up some. We need to be about right there. But this is what I was thinking here. Shoot, I don't remember which one it was. So that's a little bit. Should have marked it, I guess. Guessing that one goes right there. And then we'll just sit these on. Maybe. Drill holes right there, you know. We're gonna make these holes a little bit bigger because I don't want to be that hard to put on. I don't want to break this wood. Give me a second here. Yeah. Fly washer. Open that. So I'll have to get a socket, put those down on there. So let me get a socket and ratchet and get this other piece, this bolt here, cut down, and I'll be right back. As you can see, it's low here and it's low here. I know it's not perfect, alright, but I think it'll work. Really, we're just trying to get it to where we find a good straight board here. If I just trying to show you all a demonstration here. Alright, so let me pull the camera in here so you guys can see this. No, none of this is plugged in right now, so that's not an issue. But let me zoom it in for you. So as you can see, it sits. If I was running this board along the fence and actually doing routing, it's going to catch. See how it's rolling the bearing? That's all we're really looking for. All right, this thing don't have to be. It don't have to be perfect. It's good enough for what I'm going to be doing. The biggest thing with the router table, I don't think it matters if you have a $600 router table or even how I've seen some online that are like $1,700–1,800. I don't understand it, but I think they're all only as good as how good you make them and how safe you are with them. Anyhow, it's good enough. I got a little bit of stuff to do to it. I feel like it's well, I guess there's enough screws in the way if I keep it right here. I have a pretty good drag, you know, hitting right here a hair bit, but it don't have to be, like I said, 100%. I know it looks like my fences, these are crooked, but this is actually sagging in the center. This piece of wood was some scrap wood that I got from work, and it's some really, really cheap ass plywood. I mean, the veneers just fall off of it. So I'm thinking if I made this top out of a sheet of MDF, and probably now that I have the router hanging here, if I had some cross supports coming across the table underneath it, I think that would help get everything up a little bit. One downfall to this build is this plastic. I think I have a piece here somewhere. This plastic is 1/2 inch thick, which makes it, right here. So it's a 1/2 inch thick, and that's actually too thick. By the time you go to 3/4 inch plywood, you have very little for this to sit on. So that's why I had to do supports under it. So I don't know. I think it's still better than buying like a $50 blank insert and trying to use one of theirs. But it'll work. So I guess that's it for now. Thanks for watching. If you this video helps you with anything, or you feel like just making comments telling me how bad I did, that's fine. Just thanks for watching and see y'all next time.